But the movement started from comparatively humble beginnings in 2009 at Oxford University, when McCaskill was thinking about ethics and charity and how to help the poor. And yes, I am going to continue pronouncing that word poor, because I am from Newcastle, and I'm going to continue pronouncing that word Newcastle, because that's how it's friggin' pronounced. Let me walk you through an example of the way effective altruism thinks. Twitch streamer and friend of the show, Finster, recently announced a $50,000 giveaway to help trans people in the UK get better healthcare. That money could have gone to anything, but that particular cause was Finster's choice.
The trans community has been incredibly welcoming and accepting to me and me doing what I do. And I have good news. Turns out I'm not giving away $25,000, I'm giving away $50,000.
Most charitable donations work like that. People choose a cause that's close to their heart. But effective altruism says we should be a little bit more rational. Let's say you've got a choice between two charities. You can either donate to one that trains guide dogs for the blind in your neighborhood, or one that gives people in developing nations medicine when they have trachoma, an infection that causes blindness. Training a guide dog takes about $40,000, and curing someone's trachoma costs about $50. So for the cost of one guide dog here, you could save about 800 people from blindness there. You might love dogs, but you could do more good, your altruism could be more effective, if you use your head instead of your heart. Sorry, Finster.
I should have just given the money to dogs.
We don't need to get bogged down in that specific example. It is just an example of the kind of thing effective altruists do. They try to find out which charitable causes are best. For example, you might have seen some YouTube videos sponsored by GiveWell. They're an EA organization that claims to investigate and recommend effective charities. If you're very clever, you'll already have noticed that effective altruism makes a number of key assumptions. The first is that just because somebody is far away doesn't mean they matter less. There are people who need help in your neighborhood and people who need help in developing nations. And just because some of them are closer doesn't mean you should help them first. Numbers, however, do matter. You should always help more people if you can. And the consequences of your donation matter, as opposed to your intentions or your relationship to the people that you're helping. As we'll see later on, all of these assumptions can be questioned. But first, what is this movement? Who are these people? According to their own surveys, EAs tend to be young, in their 20s and 30s, male, white, and university educated. They're people who want to make the world better, obviously. Often people who are dissatisfied with politics. Most describe themselves as left-wing or centre-left and atheist or agnostic. It might also be fair to say that the movement attracts a certain kind of personality, somebody who enjoys intellectual challenge and rigorous debate. Maybe people who have a little bit of a contrarian streak. Many people like that are to be found in elite institutions like Oxford University and the San Francisco tech startup scene, EA's two big strongholds. And indeed, many people like that are also to be found in the audience of this show. Critics of effective altruism say it's not really a philosophical method, it's more like an internet subculture. And there might be a grain of truth to that. A lot of EA members say that it gives them a connection to something bigger or a sense of community, and that is more about the feels than the thinkings. On the other hand, that might not be a bad thing. If your college-age white son tells you that he's gotten involved with an internet subculture, there are definitely stranger things he could be doing. A lot of EAs also have quite high-paying jobs. The movement encourages something called earn to give. The idea is that if you take a job in finance or management consultancy with a fat paycheck, you can donate more and thereby do more good than somebody with a lower paying job. I mean, you shouldn't make landmines for children, but the idea is find a morally neutral or good job that pays a lot and donate on the side. Advice that didn't go well in the case of Sam Bankman-Fried.
Millions in investments.
Sam Bankman-Fried will almost certainly face charges in the U.S. because the Bahamas will.
A lot of mistakes are things I would give anything to be able to do over again.
Less than a year ago, Sam Bankman-Fried was one of the richest men on earth, with a net worth of more than $26 billion. He founded a crypto trading company called FTX, which quickly became one of the largest crypto hubs in the world. But at the end of 2022, it all came crashing down. In a matter of days, FTX tanked, and Sam was arrested on multiple counts of fraud and money laundering. Allegedly, he was using his clients' funds to gamble on the stock market, like the bad guy from Casino Royale. And when authorities finally caught up with him, they found him whipping Daniel Craig's balls with a length of rope. The collapse of FTX may have sent crypto into an irreversible decline, only time will tell. And it also sent ripples through the effective altruism movement. To understand why, we need to go back to the beginning. When SBF was still a student, he was considering a career in animal welfare when he happened to meet William McCaskill, who told him he could earn to give by going into finance. So Sam started a trading company called Alameda Research, and then he started FTX. He let his ex-girlfriend run Alameda whilst he ran FTX from the Bahamas. Because it's just so nice there. You know, I'm sure the fact that it's outside American Financial Authority jurisdiction had nothing to do with it. Just to make sure, I sent Philosophy Tube's lawyer, Trixie Mephistopheles, down to the Bahamas to form an expert opinion. Trixie, how's your investigation going? Doing great! FTX's job was to let customers convert crypto into real money and back, whilst Alameda's job was just to trade the stock market. They were supposed to be separate operations, but long story short, it now looks like those two companies were secretly working as one. Alameda was losing huge amounts of cash, and FTX was secretly transferring billions out of the back door to keep them afloat. Meanwhile, Alameda was buying cryptocurrency to keep the price of FTX's assets artificially high. Kind of like double dipping on the salsa, but also, I stole your chips. When the news broke, people started selling their crypto, and FTX didn't have enough money in the back to give them their cash because they'd sent it all to Alameda. They filed for bankruptcy, and now they owe money to more than 1 million people, including a $55,000 tab at a Bahamas resort called Margaritaville. Sam Bankman-Fried and his associates were arrested and charged with fraud, which he says he didn't mean to do. His associates pled guilty almost immediately, and Sam himself will stand trial later this year. Fun fact, his lawyer is the same guy who represented Ghislaine Maxwell. And it was McCaskill who started him down that path. Ironically, by trying to do good, McCaskill ended up contributing to a very great harm. That's the law of unintended consequences, and it's almost as strict as the law of securities fraud. The big investors will probably be fine, but the little guys who tried to get into crypto and lost everything, they're the ones who are suffering. It might be tempting to laugh, but we should remember that anyone can fall victim to a scam. SBF used effective altruism to present himself as someone who cared about ethics over profit. He pledged a lot of money to EA-approved charities, and he may even have been sincere. But a lot of people in the movement were pretty disappointed. It looks like the money he promised to charity isn't coming, at least not before somebody pays back Margaritaville for all those pina coladas. William McCaskill publicly denounced his former friend, and some critics even accused the entire movement of being a scam.
The community is a relentless grift. It has billions in the bank, a palatial estate in Oxfordshire, and links to some of the richest people on the planet. Hundreds of millions of dollars are poured back into the community for movement building, and leading EAs, while presenting themselves as modest and self-sacrificing, flew in private jets, bought hundreds of millions in Bahaman real estate, and were offered literally millions from tech billionaires to boost book sales. If you want to do good in the world, and you should, steer clear of EA.
Harsh words. And maybe a little bit too harsh? There were people within the movement who said from the start that getting involved with crypto, and SBF specifically, was a bad idea, especially after Ben Dello, another crypto billionaire and EA donor, pled guilty to money laundering. I don't think it's fair to say that the entire thing is a grift. There were people who spoke up and tried to do the right thing. The problem seems to be that the movement's leaders didn't listen to them. Going back a few years, it seems like this is a recurring problem. A recent article in Time magazine details allegations by several women that they were harassed or abused by prominent men within the movement, and that when they spoke out, they weren't listened to. In 2021, the philosopher Zoe Kramer wrote a paper criticizing certain aspects of EA methodology. She was a member and thought they'd appreciate some constructive feedback, but the reception she got was pretty chilly.
The EA community prides